the Pittsburgh Sports Line. We're live. You're watching us on Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. Thanks a lot, neighbors and friends. Verizon 32, thanks again, neighbors and friends, and everybody else in the greater Pittsburgh area. We just hit a new high on Pittsburgh Sports Line on Facebook. 2803, I think we hit. So we cracked 2800. So thanks to everybody for liking us. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, Zach Brenner, Little Z, and we start out with What's on Our Mind. Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. How you doing at home tonight, folks? You're in for a great show. What's on my mind is, I got a lot of things on my mind, but I'm going to identify two specifically tonight. And the first one is that it's so easy to go like this and pull a trigger these days, kids. It's so much harder to make a fist and fight it out. You know, that's my philosophy in life overall. And in this generation and age, I just don't understand why these kids refuse to knuckle up and just fight it out. 16-year-old kid got killed yesterday in the streets of Homestead, and it just, it breaks my heart when I drive by and I see mothers crying and stuff like that, but this is the environment that I grew up in, and things are never going to change for the most part. But aside from that, what's on my mind is the Pittsburgh Penguins. They lucked out last night and pulled out a gutsy performance in Columbus where they went down again big to the Blue Jackets. If it wasn't for Marc-Andre Fleury, the Penguins would be probably down 3-0 in this series. Marc-Andre Fleury has stood on his head back there and kept them in this series. So to everybody that was worried about the backup goalie, Vo Kuhn, or whoever the other kid was, or the other kid before that, or whatever, the number one goalie for the Pittsburgh Penguins is Marc-Andre Fleury. And right now we're experiencing a power shortage up front with Neal, Crosby, and Malkin not scoring any goals or failing to produce anything meaningful so far in this series. So I want to give a big shout out to Marc-Andre Fleury and tell all the kids at home to knuckle up. That's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Zach. Nice way to start the show there. And it is sad. You got prayers to all the families and people affected by these, senseless killings.
Senseless violence.
Yeah, it's sad. So, Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want to agree, you got to see Levine. Hey, what's on my mind is I heard Mike Tyson a little bit, and I know we're going to talk about him, so I'm just going to just gloss over it briefly. Iron Mike Promotions production was out God's Country, Monroeville last week, and did a great, awesome job. And he told me before the fights that he would only be coming back if one of his fighters, Sammy Vasquez, would do well. Well, first round knockout, he'd do well, so Iron Mike's coming back. But I tell you a guy that impressed me that's not local. And here's a guy that Iron Mike took a lot of heat when he signed him. He was a guy that was supposed to be the top amateur fighter in the country, would fight in the 2016 Olympics. And Mike signed him at the age of 18 years old. His name is Erickson the Hammer Lubin, 5-0 with 5 KOs, and most of the KOs are in the first round. And I tell you what, I'm sitting next to Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and in between Zach Brenner and his Showbox ring card girls. And Al, you were impressed not only with the hammer, but the demeanor on the young man. He's 5'11", 18-year-old, southpaw. So keep that name in mind. Erickson the Hammer Lubin, southpaw out of Florida. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim.
We'll revisit that.
Let me check. Oh, yeah. That's one of the subjects in there. Whatever you talk about.
I thought you didn't have anything.
We always do. That was off the air. It was supposed to be.
Okay.
Chip, sorry for the delay. Let's get what's on your mind, Chip?
Well, what's on my mind? What's on my mind is, Zach talked about the violence in the streets, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about the violence that's going on in sports. It seems to be running rampant, and they don't seem to be much in the way of enforcing rules or punishing some people. The first example I've got happened Sunday afternoon over at PNC Park. A little bit of a scuffle between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it was a situation that was created by Carlos Gomez, who who showboated, and he broke an unwritten rule of baseball. And in baseball, you don't show up the opposition, and he was hot dogging it, and Garrett Cole gave him a little piece of his mind. But the thing that bothers me about the punishments that were handed down today, Gomez got a 3-game suspension, which for his actions I felt was appropriate. Travis Snyder came in off the bench; he wasn't even playing in the game. He started pushing and shoving. He got a 2-game suspension, and that was well deserved. I don't understand why Russell Martin got a 1-game suspension, but what bothers me is Manny Maldonado, a backup catcher of really no account for the Brewers, who, when the players all start pushing and shoving after Travis Snyder's arms are pinned to his sides by being in a bear hug with somebody else, he sucker punches him in the face, okay, which is a punk move from start to finish, and he gets a 5-game suspension. Now, if you go to the NBA, if somebody strikes somebody, what are they getting? They're getting serious fines, they're getting serious suspensions, and if they want to stop that kind of behavior in sports, and there's no call for that in baseball. Hockey, that's a different animal. But that they should have come down very hard on this young man because look, he's a backup player. What's a 5-game suspension going to do to hurt the Milwaukee Brewers? If his actions actually adversely affected his team, maybe he would think twice before doing it. But I think that baseball got it wrong there. And then I go over to the hockey side, and there's been some incidents that happened the first week of the Stanley Cup playoffs that, two of them specifically, one was very lightly punished where Martin Lucic, a forward for the Boston Bruins, speared an opposing player behind the referee's back in the groin area, and it was a deliberate act, and they fined him $5,000. And that was just like basically me coming to Alan and taking a $5 bill off of him. I mean, there's no punishment at all. I know, trying to get it out of your head is another story.
Just
but, last night, a former Penguin, Matt Cook, who's got a reputation of being a dirty player, who's been punished on numerous occasions, once again went crazy. Deliberately went out of his way, took out a player for the Colorado Avalanche on a knee-to-knee hit. The young man for the Avalanche was their top defenseman. He's out 6 weeks, and I'm waiting to hear what the punishment is going to be there. But from what everybody's saying, the suspension is going to be substantial. But do you want to stop this kind of behavior? I mean, sure, they're violent sports, and there's a lot of things that go on that you can't do anything about. But the acts like these, you need to come down hard on these people and suspend them substantially. 5 games is nothing. 10 games is nothing. You know what? Make them sit out for a year and think about what they're doing. Then maybe you wouldn't have that kind of behavior. That's what's on my mind.
Thanks.
We'll have to revisit that.
We got all kind of revisitation. I better bring up some subject. Let's see. You got 2, 3. You got about 8 subjects here. I'll add 2 more.
Do it.
Pirates. I was giving up on the Pirates last night. I had that Kool-Aid during the show. I didn't think they could do it. They surprised me. They shocked the world. And then the player that they just picked up, what is that, Ike Davis?
Mm-hmm.
He's a strong guy. He had a grand slam. And it brought them back in the game. They ended up winning. Congrats to the Pirates. Then the Penguins, I think it was 3 minutes. We're doing our show, and we try to pay attention to our nice guest, or at least the co-host here first, because the first few minutes I usually can't hear much. But I did hear the Penguins were down 2-0, and I saw a timeout by Bylsma with like 3 minutes and 18 seconds or something.
Wow.
He called timeout. Somehow they didn't change their system, so they stayed with that, but they played and they won. So that was impressive.
Wow.
I mean, to come back like they did, they could have went right in the tank, no doubt about it. So they showed some grittiness, and I still say 14 more games to go for the Cup. That's what's on my mind. And now for the segment you've all been waiting for, especially us, revisitation of what's on your mind.
Let's take it to the hammer, Lubin. It's my belief and my philosophy that the young fella should have, instead of becoming a pro so fastly, he should represent his country and try to win a gold medal for the United States of America first. And then, after he took a crack at that, and in all fairness, then he could sign with Mike Tyson and get the money and get the payday or whatever. But it's my belief that you should always,
Well, the one thing, and I respect your beliefs, even though they're a little twisted in this area. But I'm a firm believer when it comes to boxing, and I told people this all along, and I'm going to change your opinion on it right now, is that one thing about boxers, when it's time, it's almost like picking fruit. When they're ripe, that's the time to pick them. Because if you wait too long, you can get stale in amateur boxing. Canelo Alvarez turned pro at 15. So anytime between 15 and 30, you can turn pro. There's guys who, like you said, their best thing is to fight for their country because they're continuing to get better.
Spells, Eberhardt.
I don't know about that, but as far as Lubin, he was ready at 18. If he continued to fight as an amateur for 4 more years until 2016, he may have regressed. There was a kid from New Kensington in Natrona Heights, and other than maybe setting dynamite to Natrona Heights, there's no other reason to go there other than to see Jaquay Lutz. I don't know if you remember him. Jaquay Lutz was a world amateur junior champion at 16 years old. Probably should have been pro at 17. Was a 2-time state Golden Glove champion, and they was pushing him for the Olympics. By the time he was, he lost his last year. He couldn't even win the states.
Well,
he had regressed that much. He was even losing to the chief, your boy. It was the chief.
Morgan Fitch.
He was even losing to Morgan Fitch. So, and that's a guy that regressed, as an amateur.
But could you at least tell the folks at home, though, that there are some great Hall of Fame boxers that have represented the United States of America and won gold? I'll give you 2 names off the top of my head right now: Oscar De La Hoya and Jermaine Taylor. So there's exceptions to the rule, folks. Not everybody, sometimes you might need to continue to box and continue to get better. Not everybody's ready to go at 18 years old. There's exceptions to the rule. But
there's also another thing you got to take into account here is that what are the needs of that young fighter and his family? Because some of these young men have a talent that may be able to take him or his family out of poverty, maybe doing it for financial reasons. So there has to be, you have to look into why they're going. Not everybody can afford to go the amateur route.
Because Lubin's from Florida. You know how many oranges. You know how much Sunkist his family got to pick to put in a whole barrel to get some money by the end of the day.
We don't know, but we're going to send you down there to find out. But here's the other thing you're forgetting about. Iron Mike Productions is brand new. Now, I seem to recall the youngest heavyweight champion in the world was 20 years old. So maybe they think lightning's going to strike again in a bottle.
Maybe we're swinging him over. Good job.
No, you're not going to.
Good argument.
He's as stubborn as they come, and I don't want to swing him over to my side. He doesn't have to join my side.
I'm a patriot.
That's all. I believe if you can go and fight for the Olympics and do that, and you have sponsors that can back you.
How about this, though? We have 2 guys that just took care of business on Friday night. Lightning Rod Salka and Sammy Vasquez. They both went and served their country before even thinking about getting a payday. They could have died before they ever got on Showtime and fought.
And if you know what I mean? And if you like any of this conversation, call in 412-831-3304. Okay, now you can go.
But now I got to definitely revisit my man Chip. Me and Chip don't disagree often, but when you talk about baseball, these are grown men. First of all, if a pitcher can throw a ball 100 miles an hour and hit somebody, then he can get a broken jaw like everybody else. I believe that bench clearing brawls should be encouraged in all sports. baseball included. These guys is coming in now, and you can't run over a catcher going into home base. Now you got instant replay. Now you can't lift your spikes up when you're sliding in the second. I mean, these sports is getting soft. And when it comes to a fight, I don't agree with the NBA. These guys in the heat of battle, they're grown men. You get in the fight, you get in the fight. I think it should be.
So what happened at Auburn Hills with the Pacers and the Pistons?
We're talking about fence clearing brawls. We're not talking about where fans and players jump into the stands.
But that's what happened.
Players.
Is a fight on the court. You got drug into the stands, and do you feel that's an okay environment to take children to go see and pay your money for?
They keep showing it over and over again, and I keep enjoying watching it.
Well, there's a Hall of Fame baseball player. Wait a second. Wait, time out here. There's a Hall of Fame baseball player that Ty Cobb, who went into the stands because Ty Cobb was a racist and went and pummeled a guy.
Was he
Pummeled
black?
him.
Was he?
Well, let me say this. I can say this, and this has been on.
Now imagine that. What's on your mind again?
Chest. First of all, they talk about being disrespectful in baseball, and the Mexican guy. He said he didn't know it was a home run. He wasn't showing them up. But you say, all right, you don't show up your opponent. You say you don't show up your opponents in baseball, which that's an unwritten rule, and I understand. I tell you, the worst thing, the National Football League, we both hate Roger Goodell. There's like
this is
Chip
not a new announcement.
Like Chip always say, there's 2 O's and not 1 O in his name.
Yes, that's right.
First of all, he's taking the fun out of scoring a touchdown. You score a touchdown, you do whatever, and you go back. I think the way you show up to fans is the Lambeau Leap. There's no reason these guys is scoring touchdowns, showing up their opponents, jumping in the stands, having fun, getting passed around by all the fans in Green Bay, and that is the worst thing to show up your opponent, and they'll never take that out of football, and I hate it.
I tell you what, folks, you come watch the Rangers on Saturday afternoon. You know what you do? You don't let them in the end zone. You don't score any touchdowns. You play defense. You don't score a touchdown. You don't get to celebrate in the end zone.
Who's that team you're
let's just
talking
take that out of the equation right now. No touchdowns mean no celebration. So remember that defense is out there.
And that was a little promotion there for Pittsburgh Rangers. This new camera is a little slow. I don't know what happened.
And if Steel Valley would have ever done that against Thomas Jefferson, TJ never would have hung 50.
We could go on and on. There's so many things to go. Here's the thing. In sports, did you guys want to fight when you played sports?
All the time.
Okay. Now, how many fights were you in when you played football?
All the time.
No, how many fights were you in? Did you punch somebody?
All the time. But I was cured my junior year. And I was cured this way. I mean, I threw I always threw a football in somebody's head.
There's cheap shots,
I
there's
played
pop
football.
shots.
I know. I was just asking a question.
I threw footballs off of more helmets after I got tackled, doggone it, you cheap shot. But listen, I got cured this way. All right?
That's what I want to hear.
I had a new coach my junior year in college, and he looked at me one time in the game. He said, listen, if you get kicked out of this game for fighting, you'll never play again. And I never fought again. Never fought again. That was it.
And that's my point.
That was it. He cured me.
There's situations
fighting in football, which is a collision sport, and an extreme contact sport, and fighting in baseball, you're not comparing apples to apples.
I was healed.
The only contact that's supposed to happen in baseball is the bat hitting the ball.
So you're saying that there's no place for bench clearing balls in the game of Major League Baseball?
Correct.
Okay.
Make no mistake. There is no place for it. It serves no purpose.
When the pitcher throws a ball at my head, what am I supposed to do?
The pitcher should be ejected out of the game, and that they shouldn't do that.
But there's also the possibility, though, and the potential, though, more so in any other sport, where if that ball hits you in the wrong spot of your cranium,
Right.
you could lose an eye.
How about
you
die?
Could, you could
Right.
go blind.
And-
you could die if
and-
it hits you.
and
So
that's
you know
the
what?
exact
If you
reason
come in my
why-
head, I'm coming. I got a baseball bat in my hands.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you can hit me with the
How
ball, I can
frequently-
hit you with the
United
bat.
over
How frequently does that happen?
Every game.
Every game,
Okay.
somebody gets
That
hit with a
shows you
pitch.
how many games you watch, Jim. You know, and then start watching baseball. Then you'll know what you're talking about.
Thank you for watching the show.
There's a near fight in every single
I sensed
competitive
one
game.
here building up. I just wanted to know how you stop it a little bit.
Hey, you know
now I
what?
found out
Yeah, we have different
you weren't going to
opinions.
play anymore.
I love roller.
you
derby.
too.
I love
I
roller derby
always
for
get
the
to play.
fights.
I'm at a premium.
You're
I'm
not
a
going to be
star.
playing. You just started a fight.
I'm
You're
always
sitting
in
on the
the
bench,
game.
son.
Nope.
You'll be going to another team.
Not if you fight in the fourth quarter. How long you got to sit on the bench? Couple series.
When you're that valuable and that much of a commodity to your team, you're getting to play regardless. As long as you're not ejected.
Three game suspension for fighting. What's it? It's getting soft. It's getting soft.
And
Pull it back up,
let me
catch it.
ask you this, Chip. Not to compare apples to oranges, but what about those taking exceptions when a player clearly just devastatedly took a cheap shot and run at your star and knocked him out of the game? You're not going to retaliate? I mean, all hell's going to break loose if you take out one of mine. I'm taking out one of yours.
That's it.
So that's an eye for an eye.
Take two. Take
Well,
two.
Take two.
Always get even more.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys. That's what you do. That's
So there's
natural.
situations
Two
though, where,
wrongs
you know,
don't- two
if
wrongs
Garrett
don't
Cole-
make a
if
right.
Garrett Cole was pitching in a game and the pitcher for the other team hit Garrett Cole in the head and knocked him out and he was probably useless for the rest of the season, you're goddamn right there's going to be retribution. You know?
Watch your language, but
Two wrongs don't make it right, but it makes it
Zach,
even.
you know, you're talking about something that doesn't happen. And if the pitcher deliberately hit Garrett Cole in the head, I guarantee you he'd never pitch in the major leagues again.
That's not true.
Okay?
There's guaranteed that it's happened.
Guarantee.
It's happened.
Wow. This has been a lively discussion for revisitation. I didn't think it'd go to this level. I found out how Smoking Jim stopped fighting. I found out Zach Brenner will fight till the day he dies. It doesn't matter where he's at.
As far as
He's
I'm
gonna fight.
concerned, it's got no place in baseball, and I stand behind what
Well, I'm going to give one last comment on this baseball fighting. I've rarely, ever, and I've watched baseball since about 5 or 6 years old. I'm old.
Congratulations.
Now, yeah, and these guys rarely hit. They're slapping and hugging and going around, and they give a punch. And I've seen maybe a half a dozen that are ever worth anything.
No,
That's
It's
in
all for
basketball
show.
too. That's all those
It's a
sports.
dance.
In
And
all
they even
sports.
joke about it. Here, you get this guy, I'll get that guy.
Except in
And
hockey.
and that's what I'm saying. Hockey, you're allowed to fight. So they do it till they get tired. But even a few of them, they're sort of staged. Because one guy's bigger than the other guy, they pull up their jerseys over their heads, maybe get a couple punches. But that's where baseball, it's just a thing where they're protecting each other. And
Well,
they're showing unity in a sense over there.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that the Pirates are showing up their opponents by doing the thing in the holsters and all that? They're showing it up. They're cocky. They're cocky. But I love it. I
was just
love
going
it.
to say, you
But
of
they're
all
cocky.
people,
They're cocky.
And you know what? Since we're all big boxing fans, I mean, Floyd Mayweather will show you up during the fight. You know, several
Yeah.
times around.
Cocky.
Several times
Cocky.
around. So.
what
you know,
did Muhammad Ali do?
Cocky.
Blow kisses at people and mock them and
Terrell
everything
Owens
else.
scores 5 touchdowns in Texas Stadium, and he spikes the ball.
Oh,
on
and
the
he pulled a
star.
pen out. He got fined. You can't be
Yeah,
right on stuff.
popcorn. I mean, to me, it's entertainment.
Here's the thing: if you believe in like Chuck Noll, who was a legendary coach here, and he said, pretend like you've been there
To
before,
Franco Harris.
right?
Act as if.
Yeah. Just if you're a true professional, look at guys like Barry Sanders. They would hand you the ball. They'd run for 80 yards on a 20-yard play
Look at Larry
and go, "Here's a
Fitzgerald.
touchdown."
Look at Larry
So I mean,
Fitzgerald.
everybody's different. If you like that entertainment, which a lot of people do, especially now,
But one of the
That's how
problems
it
with the
is.
celebration, though, more so than the Lambeau Leap, is like guys like Graham, the tight ends are dunking the ball over the goal line and they're knocking the goalpost off.
Make it better. Make better goalposts.
make better goalposts.
Well, here's what they should do. Let them do it, and then they pay for the repairs.
Well, it's
Come
delaying
on.
the game.
Come
There was a couple
on.
If you
instances.
damage
was a
something
couple-
smoking, Jim, don't you have to pay for
Hey,
it?
before this show is over, if we have time, if not this week,
Don't
next
damage
week,
that desk.
Chip was supposed to remind me next week. I can clear up the NCAA in less than 5 minutes. How you can pay players, how you won't pay players. You want to know the NCAA? I got the solution.
Wow.
And I'll say it before the end of the show if we have time.
Okay.
If not,
Twice
tune in
last
next
season,
week.
games were delayed because the goalposts were off the thing because
Mark
the guy
Emmerich,
spiking it over the
Take
post.
note.
That's a little
we
white
go.
lie.
True fact. We don't need. I don't need a notebook. I don't need a notebook or an almanac. A tabernacle.
They tell y'all anything and you guys do it all. It's all. What, the kicker can't kick it because it's off a little bit? Kick through it. Dump.
Until I tell you what, until you need that kick for Macaroni Tony to not break your legs, and that field goal post is off just a smidge, and it hits it, and it
How
don't
do we
go
get the
through.
macaroni Tony? All right, that's it for revisitation. We're gonna go to our.
Hey guys. That's it.
The next pitch, I'm getting you.
The sandbox
Jim.
is now open for
Close.
business.
Let's get to
No,
your
it's
favorite
open.
segments.
No, I got Sip Sports Bar. This was the longest revisitation. We had a record before. This is now our newest 28-minute revisitation.
And it was probably the best.
Well, it actually wasn't 28 minutes, but
What's up, Chief?
somewhere around there. Chief already ate his dessert. He's working
Oh,
on
he's
lunch
well
for
entertained
tomorrow.
right now.
Chief, thanks, and everybody for coming out to the show last night. We had a great crowd there at Sip Sports Bar. Notice how I segue into that, Zach Brenner,
Brilliant.
without any more interruptions.
I love it.
You know what? It was one of the best fish sandwiches that I had. Oh, man.
Woo! Yay!
Hello, caller. Welcome to our show, Pittsburgh Sports Line. Who is this?
This is Nick Krause.
I heard a rumor from a guy named Rich Miller that an MMA fighter would be calling us tonight. Is that true?
It's true.
Why don't you tell the folks out there we're on live TV tonight, so try not to swear too much, like you do in the cage, and tell them who you are.
I'm Nick Krause. I'm going to be fighting Chris Dempsey coming up May 3rd for the Gladiators in the Cage title, middleweight.
Well, Chris Dempsey's been on our show, and you have an open invite to come on our live TV show on Monday night. We ended up becoming friends with him and saw him fight. Now, he looks pretty tough. What do you think you're going to do on that bout?
I think it was pretty tough, too. Actually, watching the video, I feel like I'm kind of watching myself. It could be a pretty weird fight. When I first heard I got a chance to fight him, I was excited for it. It was kind of the fight I was looking for, was a tough one like this. I'm really excited for it.
So you're good on. So you're gonna be good on the ground because Dempsey's a beast on the ground.
Yeah, I'm pretty good on the ground, but you know what? You watch the internet and you see certain things that people are good at, and you'd be a fool not to think they aren't working on the other things also. So I'm going to be prepared standing up as well. Obviously, both of us on paper, you're going to look at it. We've got some submissions, and, we've won a lot of the fights on the ground, but you know that we're both working on our feet as well.
Oh, I'm sure you got to be a pretty strong guy, too. Where do you fight out of, and how long have you been doing this, Nick?
I started fighting in 2007 when I was in college. I ordered a pizza. There's a flyer on it about mixed martial arts, and I decided, what the heck, let's try it out. I fight out of Fort Wayne now, but I'm originally from Northwest Indiana.
Wow. That sounds like it's going to be a great bout. Now, where are you going to be fighting at?
It's at the War Coliseum in Ambridge,
Johnstown. Yeah, it'll be
Johnstown. Yes, Johnstown.
And that's going to be what, May 3rd?
Yep, May 3rd, last fight of the night.
Wow, I wish we could be there. We're actually doing a Boxing Hall of Fame dinner here because we do want to be out there. Maybe we can send a representative, Zach Brenner, who's one of the guys asking you questions. Maybe he can travel out there and check it out.
Yeah, that sounds good. I know that on YouFightLiveTV.com, they're actually going to be streaming it live, so if you guys ever get a break, you get a chance to pop it up, you can watch some of it there.
Oh, that sounds great. Hey, I appreciate you calling in, and Rich Miller giving me a heads up that you're going to give us a call. And I wish you the best of luck against Chris.
Thanks. I'm sure I'll be received warmly when I enter the cage in his hometown.
You like this type of stuff. Come on. You guys revel in it. I know. We're all competitors out there, so.
I like it a lot, actually.
That's all right. I'm a little bit sarcastic, and, you know, I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the hard work that you guys put in to fight like that and know all the MMA moves and ground game and boxing and jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. You name it all. So that's just great to be doing that since 2007 there.
Hey,
It
Nick.
all starts with wrestling.
Hey, Nick, where'd you go to college at, buddy?
I went to Trine University. The first 2 years I went there, it was called Tri-State. Then some people with some money got the name changed.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, we didn't hear of that. We'll have to do some research on you. Hey,
It was a D3 school.
well, make sure you like Pittsburgh Sports Line and friend us, and then we'll find out some more about you, too. And thanks again for giving us a call.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks,
All right.
Nick.
And good luck
Best
to
of
you.
luck, Nick.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
So basically, folks, what you just heard at home is I'm basically like the sacrilegious lamb. Like, I'm going to be the one that gets sent to the depths of the beast in Johnstown to cover the MMA fight when I could be in my backyard sitting at a lovely dinner banquet for Hall of Fame.
Food's good, too. Ooh.
The food's good. You know,
Smoking Jim didn't invite you, did he?
nope.
I was thankful to get that invite.
I'm sure you
And
will.
the only reason I'm coming is because I got the camera. No, I got the camera. He keeps pumping me up how great I am. Hey, did you get the camera? I don't understand this type of stuff. Anyhow,
Hey, you know, I know Dave Cable too. No, thank you.
And you went to one more dinner than Smoking Jim did this past year.
With the awards banquet.
Yeah.
Oh, he was hurt. He had a weak calf.
He didn't want to get his he didn't want to get his note from his mama there that he couldn't attend it in Bethel Park.
We don't make excuses at Brenner Contracting.
Just show up. Well, Sips Sports Bar, anyhow, getting back to that.
Oh, we're still
Just
on
a-
Sips?
Well, you interrupted. We had a phone
I
call.
interrupted.
It's always Zach's fault. His fans out there know we love him here. Shout out to E. What's that pizza place he's at? Bishop's Pizza?
Bishops. We need a check, guys. Steve, cut a check.
There you go. We keep promoting you there. Anyhow, the fish sandwich was just fantastic last night. I don't know if you guys got a chance to eat it. Chip was so tired. He's now under 200 pounds. First time on the show. He's under 200. He's been working out like a maniac. That's our man, Chip. Tuesday nights, Campiti, 20 or 50-cent pizza. I almost gave it away for 25. I was thinking of those wings. I could go for some right now. 25-cent wings on Thursday. They got specials every night. All kind of things going on there. We had a lot of great guests. Matter of fact, one I wanted to at least talk about, if you can get a close-up of this.
Close up.
Colleen
Close up.
Martinberg. She does this Krav Maga. It's a defense type of thing
It's over there.
that Smoking Jim
There you go.
and everybody else can
Zoom out a
learn.
little bit.
This is a new camera, folks. He's just trying to get my mustache and
There
face.
you go.
There you
That's
go.
the picture Levine took.
Here it is. Here's a better one. Now this is serious. Anybody give Colleen a call. She's up there in Butler. They're doing a lot of great things, and they're helping to save lives in this crazy world that we're in. So I think we're done with that close-up. All right, that's the Sip Sports Bar segment, and we're going to go to Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, L. Levine, the talking machine, and you didn't mention how nice the legs were on Mariah.
I leave that to you, buddy.
Whoa, I tell you
Because
what,
you are a scout of the NFL, and you're a scout for models.
Well, the fiction and fact, we're going all the way back to 2010 draft. I was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, that year. And I tell you what, we talk about Chip brought up fighting, and I tell you what, there was almost some furniture being turned over that year. I tell you what, the Steelers weren't happy with me at all that draft, and I thought that we was going to have to break some tables. But before that draft, Santonio Holmes was released by the Steelers. And the Steelers brought in to replace him Antoine Randall. And they also signed Arnaz Battles, former quarterback from Notre Dame in San Francisco. So they really had no room on their roster for any wide receivers. So in the first round, they took Marquise Pouncey from Florida, which was a great pick. They reached in the second round and got Jason Worilds when they already had James Harrison and Lamar Woodley. I was pushing for the number one receiver on my draft board was Daz Bryant, who went early in the first round to the Dallas Cowboys. My number two receiver was an unknown kid from Central Michigan by the name of Antonio Brown. And so I was pushing for him, and the Pittsburgh Steelers stabbed me in the back by drafting in the third round Emmanuel Sanders, and I was upset. I almost walked out on my steak dinner. That's how tough. Upset I was. But after they drafted Emmanuel Sanders, that made the receiving core look like this: Emmanuel Sanders, Hines Ward, Mike Wallace, Antoine Randall, Arnaz Battle, Limas Swede. And they were only going to keep maybe 4 receivers that year, maybe 5. Fourth round, they took a bum from Ohio State named Thaddeus Gibson, another outside linebacker. They started Gomer Powling their way through the draft again. In the fifth round, they took a bum from Tennessee, offensive tackle named Chris Scott. He's probably working security at the Pirate and Penguin games. In the fifth round, they took a cornerback, Butler out of Clemson. Didn't make the team. They're still looking for a corner. Fifth round, they took another linebacker named Stevenson Sylvester from Utah.
Great kid.
In the sixth round, it got interesting. I actually wanted LeGarrette Blount, who was still there. And the Pittsburgh Steelers went and took Jonathan Dwyer. And they had 2 picks in the sixth round, which would have been their 9th pick of the draft. And one of the scouts, long-time scout, told me, the only reason we're taking this kid, we're going to cut him, but we're only taking him to shut up Smoking Jim. They end up taking Antonio Brown with the 9th pick of their draft from Central Michigan. And the rest is history. Ended up not only making the team, but he was the only guy from the Steelers playing the Pro Bowl last year, 2-time team MVP. And we're not even going to mention their 7th round pick, another bum from Ohio State, Doug Worthington. But right after the draft, immediately after the draft, I almost got fired from my newspaper job. Oh, no. Because the headline in the newspaper was, Antonio will replace Antonio. So I'm the first person ever to highlight the 9th player picked in the draft rather than the first round draft pick who everybody would know. But I look good. It looks good on my resume now. So that's a little fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. They only took him to shut me up.
And he probably still didn't shut up. Hey, stay tuned for Z-Time. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that in my time.
Like a rebuttal. Smoking Jim, that was a great one, and you can check this out. It's actually in writing in a newspaper, Z. Yay! He does have some things out there.
The ink is dry.
Just like I heard, since we're on the Smoking Jim subject, the last 3 weeks in a row he's had an article in the New Pittsburgh Courier. Watch for tomorrow.
Hey, folks, did anybody purchase that book that was coming out for the Super Bowl? Call me.
They're still working on it. No, they're working on it.
You got a 22 skidoo.
All right, we're done with the fiction and fact. One of my other favorites is, can we say it? Chips trivia time.
Yes.
Woo! Thank you, Alan. And, being today's April the 22nd, I want to give note to it's Earth Day. Yes, sir. Earth Day. Think green. I got that one from Levine.
Save the planet.
So some of the things that have happened back on April the 22nd of, in 1876, the first official National League baseball game was played with Boston beating Philadelphia. That's why the National League is referred to as the elder statesman of the baseball league. 1947, the Philadelphia Warriors, behind 34 points, beat the Chicago Stags in their first Basketball Association of America title, which is the predecessor to the NBA. Eddie Murray set a record, major league record, with his 11th switch hit home run game as the Cleveland Indians beat the Minnesota Twins in 1994. I believe that was on April 21st. That's a pretty impressive feat because Eddie Murray has made his way into the Hall of Fame. And I believe he probably broke a record that was set by a certain Yankee named Mantle, maybe.
I thought you said Eddie Murphy.
No, it wasn't Eddie Murphy. On April the 22nd, 1915 was the first time pinstripes appeared on a Yankees uniform.
Wow.
That was from my good friend Mike Butera, who's passed along the way. The Braves won their first game in Atlanta in 1966 by beating the New York Mets. The Braves moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta, and they took the home run king with them, Hammer and Hank Aaron.
You mean back then, it was the home run king.
Okay, now 1970, April 22nd, Tom Seaver of the New York Mets struck out the last 10 Padres he faced in a 2-1 victory over San Diego. He gave up 2 hits and finished with a total of 19 strikeouts.
Wow.
That's an extremely impressive, but of course he finished the game, which is something that...
More impressive today.
Yeah, because I think there's been two or maybe 3 complete games pitched in the major leagues this year. Wow. We used to get 2 of those in a game. And last but not least, back in 2001, and we were talking about Lightning Rod Salka winning a WBC title, and Sammy Vasquez dispatching his opponent in 2 minutes and 49 seconds in the first round. But 2001, one of the greatest upsets in heavyweight history happened. Hasim Rahman flattened Lennox Lewis to win the WBC and the IBF heavyweight titles in one of the biggest upsets. And this fight happened in Brakpan, South Africa. So I wanted to just give a little shout out to Hasim Rahman.
That was good stuff. Great stuff, Chip.
Thanks, Chip. Appreciate it. Now we got that. Somebody was talking about it. It's Z time. Let's go to Zach Brenner.
Well, folks, since Smoker Jim Frazier laid the foundation with number 84, Antonio Brown, I want to take it back a couple weeks ago to when I did the Bethel Park Police Pals versus Pittsburgh Steelers, and the said draft pick from the 6th round, your Antonio Brown, snubbed Pittsburgh Sportsline not once, not twice, 3 times on giving an interview on the microphone. So I want to give a shout out to Jim Frazier and Antonio Brown for making the team and for being who you are today, young man.
Boy, that's a new classic Z time here.
He was there?
Yeah, he was there.
You didn't see the interview? Neither did I. I didn't see the interview either.
Oh, well, that just goes to show me that Jim Frazier didn't even watch my brilliant broadcast.
I didn't
of
know
that
it was
game.
on. I want to see it.
I guess I'll have to post it again.
Nobody gave it.
You want me to post it to you?
Post it to my site. So
I know, but you don't even look at the stuff on your site.
I do.
It's there, folks.
Well, we've been teasing you with all the boxing if you haven't followed this. And we did talk about it last night, so you can watch that video also. It's up there. But we did see some great fights, and we were out in Monroeville.
God's country.
Thank you.
We're safe.
So he says. Luckily, I didn't drive, so I didn't worry about my vehicle, only Zach's.
And for the record, are you not? Don't you feel safe in Still Valley Country whenever you're with me?
Yeah,
okay.
I felt safe.
Okay, thanks.
I feel safe in a lot of places. I don't know if you guys know where I was born at.
Pride Street. We know.
Okay,
Under
thanks.
Mercy Hospital, man.
Right,
we know.
right.
We got
Okay.
it. All the
Well,
folks know.
That's a hill district, so there are
Lower
safe.
Hill. Is that the Lower Hill?
Yeah.
Wasn't the Upper Hill the dangerous part?
No, they both are. It's all dangerous.
They all were in the day, Zach.
The Uptown Hill?
It's all dangerous. Just like certain areas are dangerous everywhere. So hopefully you're safe.
It was a great night no matter what country we were in. And we were in the United States of America in Monroeville, PA.
And we saw a lot of great records there. Well, first one was Smoking Jim Frazier, alluded to being there all night.
That was a big one. I give him a lot of credit for that. He had a lot of diet drinks with him, too. Diet Ice Tea, Diet Pepsi. So
You gotta let them play a little.
Here's the question I have. What was the weight class that Rod won the WBC belt in?
135, I think it was.
Yeah,
Is that
the
a
130
bantamweight?
He was at like 133
Welter,
something. There's about 8 or 10
lightweight.
different designations.
Yeah, I know.
of it.
There's 3 for every weight. There's
Yeah.
super
bantamweight.
featherweight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Junior lightweight.
he made weight. He didn't have to cut weight.
132.
No, I was just curious. I mean, it's a pretty prestigious thing to win a WBC belt, and I tip my hat off to Rod. He worked real hard. I mean, he suffered a pretty, devastating setback in that fight down in Texas. But you know what? He came back like a true champion, and he fought his heart out, and he won a fight that people weren't expecting. Well, some people weren't expecting him to win, but the people that know boxing know the way Rod boxes. It wasn't a surprise to them.
Well, no, even some of the experts were surprised, Chip, even out there. Yeah, because I did talk to a few of the announcers there afterwards.
Well, I read a couple of articles afterward, and when one particular boxing writer said it was no surprise to him that Rod won. But
Right, but
tip your hat to him.
he was more the minority, because if you would have seen and talked
Probably
to some
at
of the
least 40
people,
to 1 underdog. Probably.
there's no doubt.
Did you bet heavy money on that?
No,
I wouldn't bet against Rod.
No.
I wouldn't bet against Rod.
you can't, because I'll tell you what, Rod was so tactical and
I was
strategic
pulling-
in
I was
everything
scared.
he did.
I was scared to death.
Smoking Jim said
I
he's
was
scared.
scared.
I said he's winning. He
I
may have
was
lost one round,
I mean, this
and
guy-
then he shows power that people don't believe he has power. Just because you don't have the knockouts doesn't mean you're not hurting somebody.
Yeah.
That guy's face, Collato's face, after the fight, it looked like,
Looked like he'd been in a fight.
And he was in a fight. He was eating a jab, too. Lightning Rod Sullivan.
he'll never forget that.
Putting on
His
a
eye,
boxing
his
comment.
eye was getting punished. Then both eyes were getting punished.
And one quote I put in the newspaper that'll be out tomorrow that may not go over real well is I said that Rod was throwing so many rights and lefts off this guy's head like he was fighting for stronger immigration laws in America.
Woo!
That won't really upset a lot of
No, not
people
really.
because, he's already here. He come out of Cuba. But it was a great night. Sammy Vasquez, he predicted he'd knock out his guy, and he kept his word.
He did keep his word, but
He
it's
knocked
time-
him down like 3 times.
It's time to start fighting the elites. That's what I gotta say. Fight the best of the best, because that's what Rod's doing. Rod's taking on all the fights, and he's getting the hard fights too. He's not getting the guys that are propped up on by a stick. Rod's getting the toughest guys, the guys that you're not even getting. When you're 40 to 1 underdog, that means that you're not even. You're an afterthought. They're already looking past you.
Yeah.
They're 2 fights ahead of you. You're just a fill-in. And when you come in not in just one fight and consecutive fights on Showtime, and you show the world what you're made of from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that to me, that's something, And I want to thank everybody at home, because we started at BPTV right here on Pittsburgh Sports Line with these guys right here broadcasting over in Elizabeth. And on Friday night, we were on Showtime. And it doesn't get much bigger than that being on Showtime TV. So, the sky's the limit. Hopefully the next fight is even bigger. And you don't even have to worry about Rod getting ready, because I know how the man prepares. He prepares the same way I prepare. And that's why we're such good friends, because we have a huge amount of respect for each other.
And you guys have watched fights before all of us. What did you think about at the end of the fight? It looked like he could have gone 5 more rounds. Rod, the way he was dancing around.
And he could have did it in Texas too. In Texas, he could have won more rounds too. I mean, Rod's conditioning is second to none. And then, like I said, he prepares like no other, and that's why most of the guys in the city have the utmost respect for Lightning Rod Sullivan. Whether they love him or they hate him, they have to respect how hard he prepares, and he comes to fight. And there's no doubt about it. And I thought he was one of the most modest gentlemen up on the stage for being a person that nobody even really wanted to be there at all, period, really. They said we could only sell 5 tickets. Well, I tell you what, folks, go back and watch Showtime, because there was a lot more than 5 Lightning Rod Sullivan
I
fans
said
in
there
the
was
building.
close to 3,000 people. They didn't give the final tally on that it was a nice crowd
But
there.
it was a great production, great promotion, great week. I enjoyed the week. We had weigh-ins. We had the press conference on Wednesday with Al Levine and Smoking Jim Frazier. I sat with them for the fights. Well, majority of it, for as much as I could.
Until he had to run away and go be on Showtime. And he did make it on Showtime. I can't wait to see the rebroadcast of that, because he was in front of the camera.
Yeah, I've been watching it.
Have you?
Little Z's up
Is
there.
he everywhere?
But what I was thinking at the end of Rod's fight was I would love for Rod to sign with Iron Mike.
He can't. I asked the promoter.
We
that.
got a 5-fight deal
Right.
with Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy. We're 2 fights in. We got 3 fights left.
They
so
get him out of that.
But
Well,
here's
at least
no, they
3
can't.
fights.
Here's what they did say: they would have another fight here. You know, they're coming back.
Who?
Iron Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're coming
They're gonna
back.
come
Yeah.
back.
So you know they're going to come back and have Rod fight also.
I don't know about that.
Right.
If he got a 5-fight deal.
Well, they
They
already
worked
did it with
out for
Golden
this
Boy.
one, and
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, they saw the draw and the talent and the upsets. So
Money
they're going to be
talks.
chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
They're going to be chomping at the bit to bring somebody else in here and get revenge against Rod. So we're ready for it. Bring it. You know, we're taking on all comers, man. I'm ready to go to Russia, China, Germany, wherever, what road takes
Wherever
us.
Rod
you know?
goes.
And I don't want to just, give my good friend Rod all the props, too. We got another good friend of the show and friend of mine, Brutal Brendan Barrett, on May 16th. He's trying to do what no man has ever done before. His plans in this world are he wants to be the heavyweight cage fighting champion of the world and the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. And if I know one person that has the power to do it, it's Brutal Brendan Barrett. And I'll be there in Atlantic City on May 16th to watch my good friend, and I'll be in his corner, too. So right now, Brenner Contracting, we got firepower in the ranks. So don't sell Pittsburgh short, folks. That's for sure when it comes to fighting. And the Pittsburgh Kid isn't done yet either. So Marnie Clay's getting back in the ring on May 18th. Bill Hutchinson, Ed Lattimore. Like I said, there's a lot of firepower in southwestern Pennsylvania. So watch out.
Oh, and it's C. Hutch in West Virginia, right? That's coming up
May
shortly too.
17th.
That's
17th.
Mountaineer.
Well, that's our boxing segment. Now we got to at least talk a little Penguin talk here
Yeah, we
for a
sure
minute
do.
or two.
We
since
sure do, you
they
know.
should be. They should dispatch the Columbus shortly. The next 2 games,
You know,
if they play like this.
Here's the thing about the Pittsburgh Penguins is, they're a very frustrating team for people that watch them, that back the team, because, here's a team that, showed what they could do in 3 minutes last night. They completely dismantled the Columbus Blue Jackets. But, for the first 2 periods, you were scratching your head and you were like,
When are they going to show
why
up?
do they go through lapses? I mean, they could very easily be down 3-0 to the Columbus Blue Jackets at this point. And they when they start playing better and better teams, they're going to have their hands full. And just know this: this series with the Columbus Blue Jackets is not over yet. Mark my words. If this series ends up going 7 games, the Penguins will get knocked out.
You're crazy. You're the same gentleman last night that told me we were coming back from Columbus down 2 games.
Zach, I'm telling you what, I'd love to see the Penguins win, but I'm just telling you, do not cut out the Columbus Blue Jackets.
What makes them so good, Chip? Columbus.
Columbus?
Nobody.
Well, the fact that they've
They're
got,
the lowest
they
seeded team in the
don't
playoffs.
rely on the star power that the Penguins have.
They don't have
The
it.
Penguins have 4 players, Kunitz, Crosby, Malkin, and Neal, who haven't put a single puck in the net yet.
Wow.
And the Penguins' top 2 scorers in this playoff series are Matt Niskanen and Paul Martin. So they're defensemen. Who scored the game, the goal that turned the game around last night? Brooks Orpik.
defenseman.
So the people that are getting paid to score goals aren't scoring goals, and you've got a bunch
But
of.
here's why I'm hopeful. For years now, and we're all, well, even Smoking Jim's a Penguin hockey fan now because he does watch hockey at times.
At times.
We want, once in a while, we always wanted the support players to score a few goals. Now they're carrying the team. Here's why I'm hopeful. These guys have the talent to score. They will get out there. Bausma, you can't be so stubborn with your lines because you will be out of a job. They do have lines that compete with ours, and when you can stifle our star players, because every team does it, that's hockey. When you're so stubborn that you don't change, you are going to lose.
But to illustrate a point, the Columbus Blue Jackets, Smoker Jim Fraser, they just won their first ever playoff game against the Penguins the other night in the history of their franchise. So they are
shocked
the
the world.
lowest seeded Eastern Conference team in the playoffs. They are probably the worst playoff
They're not
team in
even
the
the 8th
playoffs.
seed. They're not even the 8th seed. They were the 7th seed. Okay?
But they're- but
the 8th seed is the
statistically-
Detroit Red Wings. They're playing the
statistically-
number 1 team, the Bruins.
Right.
Statistically, they were the lowest. They were the worst team in the Eastern Conference.
All right, let's go Pens. We got
Hey,
Bucks to talk
and
about.
Real quick, for Smoking Jim's interest point, the Montreal Canadiens
not
have
interested.
PK Subban. That's a gentleman that
Who's
you would
he?
be interested in watching.
Who's
play.
he wants to know. He
I'm
forgot. Can you tell him who it is?
Jerome McGinley plays for the Boston Bruins.
Yes. Okay.
Simmons plays for the Philadelphia Flyers. So there's three brothers right there to watch out for
Moving
in the
on up.
National Hockey League.
Moving on
And
up.
Donovan McNabb's nephew is somewhere in the Buffalo Sabres farm system.
And that's our update on other things. Now, a little bit of Pirate talk. I'm glad they broke the losing streak. Now it's time to get a winning streak going on. What's the report on the Pirates now?
Well, the Pirates right now are, they've put Wandy Rodriguez on the 15-day
I
DL.
saw that.
They had to drain fluid off of his knee, which could be part of the reason why he's having difficulty locating his pitches. He's a type of pitcher that doesn't rely on blazing speed on his fastball to get batters out. He relies more on location and the precision of his pitching. And his location has been off, and he's been getting roughed up. So Wandy Rodriguez is going to be on the DL. Hopefully his knee heals quickly. Looks like the Pirates are going to be making a move to bring somebody up to start and take his spot in the rotation this week. I would look for that to be Brandon Compton because last night Jeff Locke pitched another nice outing for the AAA Indianapolis Indians. So he's not eligible, he's not available to start, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Jeff Locke made his way back onto the roster. He's been improving each time that he's been going on. But one of the nice things that the Pirates did is they finally made a move. They designated Travis Ishikawa for assignment. And they brought in Ike Davis, a guy that back in 2012 for the New York Mets hit 30 home runs. This is at the major league level. It's not like Andrew Lambeau, who hit 32 home runs in the minor leagues last year. So far, he has performed very well in the 3 games that he's played so far, but let's not,
What did we give up to in that deal?
We gave up a
Tonight.
right-handed pitching prospect of really no account.
Because it's kind of
And
rare.
the ubiquitous player to be named later.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of rare to make such a trade so early into the season. I mean, they were trying to get that trade done in the offseason.
Well, his value did go down.
a previous episode, in the offseason when we had discussed the Pirates making a move for that Mets player.
Right, and
Right.
you know what? What happened was the Mets, really wanted to get rid of him. The Pirates weren't really willing to give a lot up for him. So when the asking price went down, it made sense to make the move. Now, before we start chiseling his bust for Cooperstown,
I
mean, let's give him more than that. He's one of 3 ball players in Major League Baseball history that has hit 2 grand slams against the same team in 1 year, playing for 2 different teams. He hit a grand
There's
slam.
some trivia time that you didn't expect. A bonus.
He hit a grand slam against the Reds earlier this season for the Mets. It was a walk-off grand slam to win the ball game, and last night he hit a second one, which, hey, I love it. It's great. I wish him to continue doing well. The Pirates have been playing very good ball. They played a 4-game set against the Brewers, and the
Hey,
Brewers...
Chip, we're down to the last 30 seconds, buddy. We're out of time. Somehow that revisitation and all this. How about let's go Bucks? Let's hope they win these games here because we're out of time. Thanks, everybody, for watching the show. We had John, the Tiger Kiger, in the room on the new camera. We got George, the Ghost Garanci, out there in the control room with Devin Shea. So thanks again, Bethel Park TV, Dave Cable, for giving us the great graphics and everything else you do. And thanks to you for watching the show on Verizon 32 everywhere in the Pittsburgh area, only Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. And thanks for all those likes again. We really appreciate it. Come out to Sips Sports Bar on Monday. We have some more great guests coming out there. Have a good night, folks.